Jimmy.
Yeah, look for I asked for a wayward guy, and they pointed right here. Hey, is this a brand new chair for me?
Yes, it is. I upholstered that especially for you, Jimmy. It's got special extra thick padding. Anyhow, thanks for joining us. We got a lot of business today, including our regular business. And I think I just want to mention now, Jimmy, do you believe that we have 20,000 subscribers?
I saw that. I said, how did he manage to corral? But he must have paid them off or something.
$1 a piece. Now, what about you, Jimmy? Did you
sign up as subscribers?
You didn't subscribe.
Well, I mean, I watch the show. I mean, well, I'm here all the time. What do you mean?
You're like, we would have 3 million subscribers if more people weren't like you.
Oh, yeah. 3 million. Oh, my
Your
God.
vote counts.
So what does that 20,000 person get?
Well, we don't know, right, Patrick? We're not in the category of some of these big YouTubers.
We're never going to find out who that 20,000th was.
We won't.
I don't know how we'll, yeah.
Ooh, maybe
could be anybody.
A mysterious person. But
you should have set that up. Boom.
But there are some people.
What's the name? It could have been Lucky Guy.
You know, maybe we should have had those platform shoes that have been promised to you for so many years.
Yeah, and like that, profit sharing check that I think, 5 years interest now, I think, right?
Well, I don't know about that. But anyhow.
Yeah, of course, okay.
Jimmy, we're going to hop right into the YouTube questions, I guess. Would you mind reading them like you normally do?
Why not? Let me see what I can dig up on you guys. Oh, let's see. Compliments. That's all I can say. Compliments.
Well, I don't know. Well, we do not erase the negative ones, do we, Patrick? No.
Well, this is the first one is from Sparky Herbling. What is the double rub test?
Double rub. R-U-B.
Well, they call it double rub.
That's a test that's a good question, actually. They have a machine, and when they test any new fiber or fabric, they have the machine rubs back and forth. If it rubs back and forth 20,000 times, and the 20,000th time it starts to wear through, that's fabric is coated or graded 20,000 double rub. And we have double rubs that go up to 200 and 300,000 double rubs.
Wow.
So usually that's more for commercial, applications.
Okay.
But some people who are buying fabric in a residential fashion, they like the idea that they might have kids and dogs and cats.
I wanted like a chain link fence.
Right, a lot of people do, and so the fibers today, Jimmy, the fibers are so even the synthetic fibers are such today that they will fool you. Into thinking that they could be natural fibers, meaning that they have a nice feel to them too.
Right,
they're so refined, So we're getting really good in the industry.
Okay, the second question from Sparky again is: horsehair always attached to a solid wood base?
No, we do attach it to solid wood, like for a slip seat that even has a frame. Sometimes we'll tack or staple the horsehair just to kind of hold the horsehair. And then if it's a frame with webbing, we hand stitch the horsehair. I think mainly it's hand stitched horsehair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And the third question: how is Spanish moss for chair padding?
I've never used Spanish moss, but to me a moss, it sounds like it's biodegradable, which horsehair technically is too, but you can imagine how long horsehair lasts over moss. See, this is why we like the batting horsehair. Now, moss would have a similar quality in the beginning where it might have like little spring action to it, but being an organic, which horsehair certainly is, but of the organics, horsehair will last much longer than I see the moss as breaking down sooner than the horsehair.
Well, you wonder how it's dried out and how durable.
It's like hay. It falls under as batting. I think it comes under the category of hay. Okay. Hay. You can imagine you stuff something with hay. Down. I've opened up hay seats and it was just powdered.
Really?
Oh yeah, it was just hay. You take a straw and crunch it up. A fresh straw might not disintegrate, but a straw that's a little old has been out in the sun, and you do it. It's crunchy. It'll crunch up, and
Yeah, I was going to say, would it be lasting longer if it was tightly
It's never though. It's always
No.
put in loose.
Oh, it is.
And sometimes they cut the straw to put it in. But straw was a replacement. Usually I see straw in the wartime, World War II time era, where they didn't have all the other materials or batting.
Right,
So they
cotton,
used
everything
hay.
was on it.
Cotton, you couldn't find cotton anywhere. That went to the war effort, right?
Okay, so the next one is from the house of Nambley? Nambley?
It's Nico.
Okay.
That's Nico?
Yeah, so she posted a follow-up video to...
Oh.
I'll get to that later.
That's
Okay.
nice. Do you have the video that people can watch?
Well, I have it. You can look at it's in It was on Facebook forum, so we're not there yet.
Oh, okay.
So glad I watched this. I definitely squared up on my pillow top ottoman project. Question. If you needed to make piping, do you cut the thinner pieces on the bias and sew them together, or just cut long strips?
Depends on the fabric. Cutting on the bias and upholstery is something that kind of transferred over from dressmaking. In dressmaking, bias cutting is really important. Even the fabric is bias cut so that it falls off in dressmaking and suit making, so that it falls. When you bias cut, it falls better. But we're not doing that here in upholstery. Your fabrics are thicker. Your fabrics can be cut the length of the fabric, which is more important, because bias cuts usually you're limiting, especially if you're doing a sofa.
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing bias cuts for a sofa, for instance, on upholstery fabric, if you kind of fall for the bias cutting is the best looking welting. That's for thinner fabric. Remember, upholstery fabric, in most cases you can cut it. Except in, this is a long answer, Jimmy. Except in stripe, even on upholstery fabric, for instance, you want a bias cut because it gives you that twill look, which is a lot more attractive than going up one green stripe, for instance, up the length of the bolt.
Okay.
So it does depend on the fabric, but the advantage of being able to go into the bolt and cutting is that if you have a sofa and you have a base welt, for instance, you can get one cut out of the whole base welt instead of piecing. So you want to try to eliminate as much of the piecing as possible. I don't care how good of a stitcher you are, if you're bias cutting, you're going to have a lot of seams. There's nothing worse on a double welt, for instance, with all of these seams in your double welting. So it's really a good question she has, but we have a lot of overlap. In the upholstery business, we have a lot of overlapping theories that have come to us from slipcovers people and dressmakers. And so the reason for that is there was a huge gap in the upholstery side of things between the information being passed down. We had a huge gap until these wonderful YouTube channels came along, especially that one Broadway Upholstery YouTube channel. Have you ever heard of that, Jimmy?
Yes, I have. I was at the local Dunkin' Donuts the other day, and somebody...
What's the
God,
next question?
No, this is from Janine. She says, congratulations on the
thank you,
20,000.
Janine.
Very
Yeah.
well deserved.
Great.
Onwards to 1 million. Oh, my God.
Oh, she's really got high hopes.
yeah,
for-
baby. She better,
Well, we're gonna have
she
to
better
start.
call in some friends, baby.
We're gonna have to start giving money away for that to happen.
Or free lessons or something, classroom time or something. This is from Leslie. The next one. This is...
That reminds me, you'll have to let everybody... I already put a thing out, let everybody know about in-person classes. We're expecting some out-of-state visitors. That'd be kind of cool.
Well, actually, Blair's been one of our fans or one of our followers for a long time, and I'm very excited about Blair because he opened up a business, a small business.
He is worth the road trip.
Well, he actually contacted me. He's going to be up in the New England area.
No way.
And he's going to want to visit us. Maybe we should have him in a live question and answer class.
Oh, we should take him out for dinner.
Yeah, he's been a great success story. So he started a business with one shop, a small shop down south, and he grew. He just went into a bigger space. So his business is growing already, and I think it's been about a year, maybe I'd say, a year and a half, maybe 2 years. But he's excited. He actually took a lot of what we do here. He took a lot of the suggestions and applied them. And he's a go-getter. He's got a nice young family, and I wish him all the
Oh, yeah,
best.
absolutely,
Yeah.
100%.
But to what I was saying is if anybody's local and interested, classes are available to sign up
Yeah,
until
this
pretty much next summer. So it's open now to anybody who wants to get a head start if they want to.
Yeah, and I think this week, if people are interested, they should act fast because these classes filled up fast.
And we're excited because we're officially back into in-person classes.
Well, let's talk.
First time in 3 years.
Yeah, it's exciting. Let's talk to Jimmy because Jimmy is taking a class. What's the difference between an in-class and this online class?
Well, this is a little bit slower paced.
Right.
Because you're going step by step. And again, today we had the cutting. You're showing people how, in the classroom, you are showing me, for example, in the classroom, how to do it, and we're working a little bit quicker. This, again, is more a little, you don't want to go too fast with somebody because you kind of lose them. You don't want to do that.
Well, because
You
we're
wanna give
showing
them
beginners a lot of times about
yes,
the
I mean, there might
classes.
be that one particular point of the chair or ottoman, whatever it might be, and you want to kind of say, yeah, let me see how they do it, and you kind of, work it a little bit easier, how to cut, how to pad, whatever you're
Yeah.
going to be doing for the next moment.
And the in studio classes, they're faster paced. You think?
I mean, well, yeah, I think, and yeah, of course. I mean, I'm, working on another chair.
Right.
Actually, this gentleman's chair, he has a twin, so I'm working on that, and I'm going a little bit quicker with it.
Right.
I like to think I am.
Yeah.
And, again, Thursday nights, it's like, hey, baby, this is the hot spot in Arlington, right?
Yeah, and you got other people in the class.
I have my other half.
Yeah, and you got 4 other people that we have out in the front room. You're in the back room. We have 2 rooms. It
Yep.
sounds big. We had somebody come in the other day, and they were looking around and said, when I saw you online, it looked like this place was a football stadium.
We wish it were. Well, but before you put up the wall, we had, 10 to 12 people in the class.
Yeah, that was a little bit too much, wasn't it?
Well, no, because I don't believe anybody really overtook anybody else with their project. Everything was chair, ottoman, whatever it might be. So we kind of.
I guess I was speaking for myself. With 10 or 12 people, it was like an athletic. It was like going to the gym, because
when I would see you bouncing around all the time,
Right.
you're helping somebody cut,
Right.
and then you're going back. Oh, we're measuring this. Oh, Kevin, I can't get this. How do I? I was like.
I have to say, with 6 people, it's a little bit easier. So that's good. We have somebody here, Jimmy, who has done the online classes. He's gone on the YouTube. He's gone on Facebook. He's actually an administrator for the Facebook. By the way, if you're looking for the first time, you have many sources here. You have Upholstery on Broadway, which has the store. You can buy supplies.
Yes.
You have the Facebook, where you can get people like you who are going to be answering the questions.
Yes.
You have, and you can post pictures, which is great. And we have the online. We have the support of the question and answer and the online classes. So, we're doing a lot of work. We
It's
did take
fun.
a couple of weeks off recently.
Well, some people think they can go on vacation at any time. I won't say names, but that's okay.
But getting back
when
to
do
the,
we-
I already apologized last week.
Did you apologize?
Yeah, well, I was explaining. We tried to get it going from there. Like, remember
It
how
didn't
we did
work.
before?
Yes.
And he couldn't get I'm blaming it on you, Doug.
little
He couldn't
things.
get the thing started.
Little things like putting batteries in the camera. Who would have thought you needed? There's a plug. Who would have thought
Hey.
you needed to put a battery in that thing too?
Like I say, we're from the Flintstone era. We know nothing about this
And if
stuff.
for people, why don't you tell our younger people who Fred Flintstone is? Because
Well,
many
this
people
is
Well,
an
don't
don't get
know.
into that. You'll be here forever.
Yeah,
All right.
actually,
I
that
want
was,
to say, we have a comment.
We have a comment. It's from Fred Flintstone. He wants to know.
he and Wilma want to take a class together.
It's a nice compliment. And two. Megan says, I am from Vicksburg, Mississippi. I just discovered your World of Upholstery this year, and I have many orders piling up. My teacher moved away, and I appreciate your show and have a lot of catching up to do.
Wow,
Thank you.
there you go.
Well, look into the YouTube videos a lot if you have any, you need any references for anything, because they are out there. Very basic, some of them, but I'll tell you, it's the basic points of, doing a chair or anything else that get you started. It helps you get, over that hurdle.
Well, we like to hear from people.
Yes, so
Like
questions
this.
are most welcome.
Right, but we like to hear from people who have taken advantage of, especially, we have free stuff. I mean, the Facebook's free and the YouTube is free.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we do ask, please subscribe. You're getting free material. You might as well subscribe. Unlike my friend over here, who feels as though his subscription doesn't count.
Well, I'll have to because now.
No, he's
now
not worthy.
You
Oh.
could be 2001, A Space Odyssey.
20,001. Get the number right, man. I mean, good God, are you trying to cut
There's
corners
another
already?
reference they wouldn't get. A 2001.
That was another classic movie. You gotta. Actually, I never saw that. Did you?
No, I didn't. But, I always check out on movies the upholstery. I look at the upholstery like on Star Trek. You ever check out the upholstery on Star Trek?
No.
Oh, my goodness. Some of those chairs are amazing, especially in the ready room where they talk about how they're going to get out of the situation. But you look at the chairs. They're unbelievable. You haven't checked out in movies.
Well, actually, I saw recently Star Trek with Chris Pine.
Yeah.
The late one. Maybe
Check out the upholstered furniture. Everybody, even people who are fighting aliens want a nice, comfortable sit.
Oh yeah, sure.
Sit down.
As you're shooting at me, I'm going, wow, where did they get this look? Huh?
Well, like westerns
Oh, my
that we
God.
posted, for instance. We have a YouTube video that we got a lot of comments. We might even have one on there. The 1860s chair, and we had a lot of. Patrick put up a nice thumbnail on that, which I think gets a lot of the attention. But you look at furniture from the 1860s to the Star Trek. People buy that furniture, for their living rooms.
Of course they do. Why?
Right.
I have no idea.
What, are you kidding me? I had a woman who was a customer. She had what she called Command Central. It was a chair. It was an Art Deco chair, and it had all the channels on it and everything, the channeling and everything. She called it Command Central, or where Mr. Kirk used to
Obviously,
sit.
she was probably a fan of one of those shows.
Yeah, she was a sci-fi person. But then you look now. Do you know who the first upholsterer was, Jimmy? Don't you? The very first upholsterer in the world, in the whole world.
But
I don't know his
talking-
name, but I know he was a Neanderthal.
Oh.
Well, yeah, he goes out, he gets a fur,
Did
and
you
he.
see this? Was this on the BBC National Geographic show?
I don't think
'Cause
so.
Let him get back to the comments that I.
But wait a minute,
Oh, wait a minute, we got
the
one of those
Neander-
story.
I have to get one more in.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Neanderthal. He
No
comes
wonder why
back.
we're here till 9 o'clock at night half the time.
He comes back to the cave. He has his fur from the mammoth that he just took apart,
Yeah.
and did a nice tanning on it. He comes. He says, "Honey, I'm home." And he throws it. He throws the mammoth fur on top of a rock. That's the first upholsterer. Somewhere, some cave, somewhere in this world, there was the first upholsterer, Jimmy.
This is so painful.
Go on to the next one. Is there a comment?
Does anybody have any Tylenol, Advil, something?
At least Nico is laughing. On
Yeah,
Is
okay.
she? Is she on?
Yes.
Nico's the one. Nico is the one with the Command Central.
What do you mean?
If it's the same Nico,
What do you mean?
Nico is the woman I'm talking about with the Command Central chair. Never
Oh
mind.
my God.
All
She
right.
was with the Malian mud cloth.
Oh, right.
She
Right.
posted a-
Okay.
I wonder if she ever saw that video. She can comment. The one I tweeted
Yeah, she
with,
should.
I forget the woman's name we did it with. What was her name?
Well, that's not important, but it's the video that's important. She wouldn't care about her name
I'm
anyhow.
sure hers was better than
Her main concern was a woman who were making a living, trying to make a living off the mud cloth fabric that we use to cover the ottomans, just to give them a little bit of exposure in this country. For people who might do some donation, Jimmy, But
Donations?
anyhow, it's called micro. I think it's called a micro economy, Patrick, or micro business. That's what they call that. Where you get somebody in a third world country who can self-sustain by doing these mud cloths, right? And something like that. It can be they have a food cart. You can teach them how to prepare food. There's all kinds of micro businesses that you can set up. But go ahead, Jimmy.
Okay, well, this
We
is
got a
from
little
Leslie-
drifting.
Yeah, drifting. My God, you took over
That's
the
your
show.
new name, Driftwood. Go ahead.
This is from Leslie. Hi, Kevin. Thanks for answering my question about springs. Your answer confirmed what I have come to understand through trial and error.
Good.
I have used a 5-inch spring that sits about 3/4 above the hard front edge. In Australia, we measure springs from knot to knot. I used your videos to learn the 8-way tie. Also in Australia, we can't get horsehair, so core is often used, COIR,
Yeah.
is often used, but mostly people use foam. I started upholstery after I was asked if I could make a car seat. I said, I'll try. That was 3.5 years ago, and I'm learning everything I can from YouTube.
That's
So I'm
great.
very grateful that I have found your channel. Good on you, Patrick, for joining the team.
Yeah, this is not easy. I mean, we've been at this for a long time, and you know, we've learned a lot from the very beginning, which was a handheld iPhone
Well, I
1
remember.
or whatever it was.
I remember. I said, "Oh my God, that
Yeah, we used to have you come in the audience, and you used to heckle us and things like that.
Yeah, because I never got paid, never got a drink. You guys
But the
wouldn't-
camera,
I think maybe at the time a nice coffee was probably $2.
I know, and you
And
never got
still,
one.
You just couldn't squeeze that dollar out of out of your pocket, pants pocket. So
Oh,
that's all right.
that's
all right.
All right, well, you can get your digs in, Jimmy. Go on to the next one. Are there any comments?
Nope.
If you would like to see less of Jimmy, let us know. No, go ahead. I know
Actually,
that.
should be less with Kevin, but
I
listen.
know.
Okay, this is from
I'm
Hector Martinez. What do you think if you reupholstered a complete restaurant and a customer called you 2 months later to say one of the booth seats got stained? I went to look at it and it was ink from a pen.
Oh.
So I upholstered the seat and she called me to ask how did I remove the stain and I said I replaced the vinyl seat. Do you think I should charge the customer or not?
That's a good one. I mean, you always want to try to. I think from a customer standpoint, it's always good to reach out and do things for your customers as long as it doesn't hurt you. You can knock yourself out of business by too much customer service, and I have examples of that. There's businesses that have done that, that have gone in and they've knocked themselves out of business with too much customer service. There is a limit to it. And, I think it's a case-by-case situation where they've already paid for your boots. You can reason, this is an extra charge. I didn't put the ink in there. So,
Right.
you can leave it up to leave it up to the person.
Well, even if you set a nominal charge of whatever.
Yeah,
I mean-
that's a good idea. You can do a nominal just to cover costs. You could say, this is how much it normally would be for me for one seat to come out here and the material. This is how much I'm going to charge you because you're a good customer. And,
Yes.
I
wanna keep the
but they
business.
might expect that, then what happens is the next guy comes in with a pocket comb and he
Well,
does
I think
something.
after a while, for everything that happens in this case, like you say, first the ink. Oh, somebody had a pocket knife and cut this.
Right. You got to be careful with,
yeah.
this is the customer service thing.
Yeah,
You could do
and-
the first one, say, but if it happens, you could actually, that gives you good dialogue with the customer.
Right.
And maybe that will develop a deeper relationship with the customer, and they'll
Well,
use
there's
you
a better
again.
understanding to say, yes, I'm helping you out this time,
Yeah.
but not every time you get a gouge
Right.
or scratch
Or
or anything.
brings up another thing. Some people maybe they offer an insurance policy on their furniture.
Well, right,
something
but then
like
you
that.
have to kind of come up with some.
I'd be careful with that because if you're writing out a job and you're adding these add-ons, sometimes don't sit well when somebody's doing when you're writing out the first estimate. So I'd probably try to avoid that. But
Yeah.
just thinking off the top of my head,
Right.
I think your idea is a good one. You give them the first time, oh, what a shame! It just happened. I just did this. I'll do it for a cost, and then
The word I think I would use is a courtesy.
there you go. But after that,
Right.
right?
Right. Well, my wife told it's amazing. No. I mean, that's what I would say. This is a call,
Yeah.
and
But
that's-
customer service is a tricky thing, and a lot of people can operate a business, and I don't know how they do this, but being a big grouch. And I don't think that goes over too good with many people. I don't want to deal with the grouch. Do you, Jimmy?
No, I mean, you want to try to win people over with a little bit of charm and
Right.
say, this is what we offer. Again, trying to fix something.
Right.
You say, yes, I happen to be in the area. I'm going to fix it quick. This is a courtesy call.
And by the way, you would plan it like that. You would say, okay, I got another call over here. Let me double up on that call, and you try to save yourself a little money,
right.
and things like that.
Yeah, and
Jimmy,
again-
Jimmy, you have a good sense of this. This is good.
Randy says, I have things like that happen. There's been a case-by-case basis. Depends on what I made on the job and when the issue occurred. And Malcolm says, minimum service charge should help with small repairs.
There you go.
Yes, exactly. At least
There you go.
cover the material and
You're gonna have a customer for life. Sometimes I used to when I ran a customer service department in a very high-end community, let's say that, and they were very particular. I would sometimes have a great streak of no problems, and sometimes I would almost welcome a problem just to show people just how committed we were to keeping them happy.
Right.
And I always felt that customer would refer you more than any other customer. They would say something like, you know what, did a great job. I had a small problem, came right out, didn't ignore it, came right out and did it.
No charge.
Because I literally would drop what I was doing to fix a problem.
Right. Well, you know, you don't want things to fester either.
Right, but you'd be surprised how many people don't get that. What's the next one?
This
Thank you
is-
for the comments, by the way, Malcolm and Randy.
Randy, again, congratulations on 20,000. Keep up what you're doing. On a side, the only other online upholstery training that I follow is stopping at the end of the year. They did online, in person, and some type of hybrid class.
Oh, a hybrid class. We didn't think of that, Patrick.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
We're waiting for the three-dimensional technology, but that never came, did it, Patrick? Do you remember?
You can pop into a screen and.
Yeah, remember we were going down that. Believe it or not, we were looking seriously into
You had mentioned it quickly.
getting these monitors set up in the shop, like having 12 monitors,
Okay.
and teaching a class through the technology. But Patrick, I don't think it's there yet. Do you?
It could be. It just costs a lot of money to get all that.
But is there three-dimensional technology that will do that? Like put let's say, how would you like Jimmy in his form, this form right here, in your living
It's a
room?
hologram.
In a hologram form. That's what we were thinking. Put you right in there to
That's
show
a
you.
disturbing thought. Jimmy in my living room.
That's your father's line. You're stealing your father's line now. God almighty.
No, if you want to see Jimmy in your living room, contact Patrick at.
You guys are so bad.
But we were seriously thinking about that, and we looked into it, and the
Nothing
cost.
crazy like that. It was more of having a
That's how I was
screen with, like doing a Zoom with multiple people involved. And having
Didn't
a
work
screen.
though. The
You have to
biggest.
keep your eyes on that one screen of each person.
One of the biggest obstacles, and it's probably my fault, is you know how the weatherman, as a weatherman, you have a problem. The problem is, and I still think they have this problem, don't they, Patrick? Where they're showing you the screen, but your hand is over here. It's a mirror image, right, Patrick? Do you know?
Yes, so
Yeah,
you're
they're
looking
pretty
at
good
a
at that,
green
though.
screen.
But they trained in that. They train and train and train to get their mind, their brain around that. You know
Right.
So Randy says they sold an online class with email, chat access to the instructor. So I guess the instructor was on the online class as it was live.
How did he like it? We're getting some good information here. Was it something did it work?
I would assume that was it was kind of maybe a close to Zoom type thing where they did it live and everybody entered the chat room. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And maybe the video just played or the guy was actually doing it live. That's
One
what
of the
I'm
biggest
thinking.
problem was you say to somebody that you're looking in a monitor and say, okay, it's the right arm, and they, believe it or not, that orientation was very difficult, at least for me. And I think it was my fault, really, that I couldn't really get acquainted with that mirror image thing. People would know what I'm talking about. And we have Jimmy over here. You're fired. He's on his personal email over here.
I got clients asking me.
Oh, you got somebody actually asking you live on Facebook?
I have a woman who's in Acton. She would like her chairs done.
Wow, Jimmy, you actually now you folks, you heard it here now for the first time. Jimmy you're well into a career now with that.
No, I think it's nice when people, oh wow, and you kind of explain it.
But he's professionally upholstering furniture.
Well, I'll tell you, I would like to do another couple of. I would suggest doing either a love seat or a couch.
yeah. Well, wish we had room for that, Jimmy.
I know.
But do you want to keep
Well, I just
reading?
want to follow up with Megan said actually something that we did try to do with classes. She said that if you could see us working, give us personal advice, it would be like my teacher never moved away. I would invest. But we did that with the one-on-one
Yeah,
Zoom
we
classes.
did. This is what I'm thinking
And Erica,
about.
she could maybe, I don't know if she's been on in a while.
Well, and I
she
think-
took it and then
I was frustrated on my end because
we felt back. We weren't really prepared.
we
The first
weren't
time we did
prepared.
it.
I wasn't trained as a weatherman. I believe it or not, you've got to train for that.
Yes.
You've got to train for that mirror image thing that goes on. That's what I was thinking
Well,
about.
you're looking this way, but you're talking.
Yes,
that way.
exactly. That's what was the hard part of it. But anyhow, we're
But I mean,
looking.
in the future, maybe we could do something where we do that, but we have an event. You know, we schedule it, tell everybody that were going to be going on for one.
Oh, you mean a live event?
live class?
How does that
I don't know
happen?
how that would work on your end. What would you have?
Well, there's so many things
thought
we
about
could
this,
do.
'cause
Yeah.
What would you have to like? We thought about that idea with the one chair that just you show everything on, because everyone want to have their own piece on the other end. So maybe you'd just be that answer.
Or like you also had the idea, Patrick had the idea of seminars. We get in our we get a box truck, we invest in a trailer or whatever, and we take the show on the road. We come out and we see Randy out in Wisconsin, I think. Yeah, we go out and see Randy. We go out down south to see Blair. He's in Florida. We go here and there, and
we'll probably stay a little bit longer in Florida.
and you know
But
we
you
do.
know what? It is football season, so I mean you can't. If
But
Randy
we
could
probably
hook us up.
so how that would work is the person would sponsor us. They would do the advertising separately, saying, "Hey, we got this guy coming into town. He's going to have a 1-day seminar down at the auditorium or the school or whatever, or my shop." That would probably be the best thing. If you had room in your shop for your own advertising, you could have us come in and
and whatever they charge.
And we have another question.
Question from
coming.
Nico: how do you get the piping around the back chair legs?
Where does she have a picture?
I don't know if she's talking about this chair.
Oh, this chair? We haven't done the welting
Maybe
yet.
she's not talking about that. I think it's just a generic question.
Well, you know, I'll just use this as an example. This is Jimmy. We're going to lift the skirt up, Jimmy. Don't
Yeah.
look.
Oh my God!
Oh,
Just
is
10
there,
viewers are gone.
so
Well, you know, Jimmy's a nice guy. He looked away right away. He's a very modest individual, and his cheeks got all blushy. Now his whole body is getting blushy.
Now we're down
Uh-oh.
to 0 viewers.
You don't like me now. I see that. I'm sorry.
20,000 people just got wiped off the face of the earth.
I don't know what's got into me today. I've had
coffee.
Yeah,
coffees.
do you think? How many copies?
I'm just in a good mood. 3
Three.
Three
Oh, which-
large double lattes.
Jimmy, you to get back at him because he's always blaming you for saying inappropriate things.
I wasn't it.
He always does.
That was
even when I'm not,
cute. Come
even when I'm
on.
not there, he's still saying,
That
Jimmy
was-
said that. I'm like, well, I wasn't
Now it's
even
your
here.
turn. Now it's your turn to attack him.
Oh, it's all
Bless
right.
you.
He met my other half, and you know they hit it off. So
Yeah, we did. We both make fun of him now. No, I'm
Yeah.
just kidding.
Poor guy.
yeah. So I'm going to go to Tuesday night.
So this is a good example,
Watching-
Nico.
watching from across the pond.
It depends on what you're doing, you know. And here's a real sneaky thing, right?
Okay.
So if you had a base welt on this, most people who do a base welt, they'll upholster this, they'll do all their stapling, they'll try to get this straight, and then they'll try to cover with the single piping their staples. Let me tell you, it never works. It never works that way. You got to do a little prep work. So what you do is you have some scrap welting in your shop.
Okay.
You welt it a little bit above this horizontal line. You put the welting on there first, just in this area.
Okay.
You make sure it's nice and tight. You staple your ends down. Make sure it's tight. That's the key. And you can hammer it down just a little bit. You don't want it to be seen through the fabric. And then when you pull this over, and then you make these cuts around here, and then you flap it underneath, you pleat it underneath the piping here, and you get your staples in. And then when you put your base welt out of your fabric, Jimmy, are you following this?
Yeah.
You bring it there and you trim out your salvage from this point to this point, and you put a nice little bead of hot glue in there, and you wouldn't believe how beautiful that is. What you have is continued your horizontal, like magic. It's like magic. You've continued your horizontal piping in a perfect way. Transition, Jimmy, right? We talked a lot about transition. So what happens if you don't do it this way? You have a little bit of an inconsistency. Even if you could cover the staples that you put in here, you might be able to, depending on how thick the fabric is. You'd have a hard time with this fabric. It's not thick.
Yeah.
But always with the transition, the welting kind of just ever so slightly rides up or down, and that doesn't look good.
Okay.
So there's a lot of prep work, and we talk a lot about transition. If you're looking for us the first time on the online class, I just wanted to bring up a point Jimmy had today. Jimmy will turn and say something, and then I'll stop whatever I'm doing. This is why these classes take longer. And
Yes,
I'll look
there
at
is
the
some
camera
talking.
and I'll say, stop. I want to talk to the camera about what Jimmy said, because Jimmy said he wanted to know what the next step here would be. He said, why don't we just take foam? And foam is not necessarily the best next step for this. This is
Okay.
the seat. So foam, you'd always have to, the best way to secure it would be to staple it. and when you staple it, you take the profile of this chair away, and that changes everything really, because the profile, you just want a cotton or Dacron coming over here, not anything more than that, not any heavy batting like foam would be. But anyhow, are there any other questions or comments, Patrick, or did they all leave away after Jimmy's comment there?
No, thankfully they're still here.
Okay.
Obviously, they couldn't change the channel. They're probably looking surfing.
Well, there's no other options. There's no other live question. Well, maybe we shouldn't say that, Patrick. But maybe there is a live question and answer for Upholstery right now. And Jimmy, what's the next question on your YouTube?
That is it.
Is that it?
Yeah.
How would you like to read the Facebook? Should he read Facebook or should I, Patrick?
Oh, you read the Facebook. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. His union doesn't allow him to speak more than 100 words. He's at his limit.
Yeah, I'm
right
at
now.
98.
He's the charge now. Every word from now on is the charge.
God. I'm going to go on my
No
own
money by the
show.
end of this.
Oh, did you hear Jimmy say he's going to get his own show, Patrick? There you go.
I would watch
Yeah,
that.
I would watch it. Where is it? What's your first class? What are you going to do?
All right, on to the Facebook.
On to the Facebook. Nico, she's been really prolific in her postings, and we appreciate
And I'll
that.
plug her Instagram again. I've tried to plug it. It's very cool. She's got some cool stuff on
Is
there.
she in business to herself?
I'm not sure. I happened to peek on that.
So the
Thought it was
very
very cool.
the very first one is Nico. She says, "Woo, just got to clean her up." She's talking about her furniture, and figures people do. Oh, never mind. Just got to clean her up and figure out how to fix the bottom. More pictures tomorrow. Thanks for your input.
And there's a video. There's a quick video of the progress.
So there's the
You
on.
want to look at it on your phone?
Take a look on Facebook. Would you like to get that up, Jimmy? Oh, he's talking to his customers. He's busy. He's trying to make a little money.
What do you want me to
Would
do?
you look up and try to post? What can he do with that,
No,
Patrick?
I thought you wanted to look at it. But
Oh,
I
wait a
think I
minute.
did look at it, and it's wonderful.
It's like a 4-second clip of the overview. That you
More
did.
people should
Well,
do that.
is this the one where the corner was?
Yes, she fixed it
How did she do? Yeah, but see, that's what.
without suggestions.
Well, I mean,
And yours.
mine. I didn't have any. I was like, whoa. Wait
Oh,
a
you
minute
didn't
here.
know what to do.
I was I didn't know. Yeah, exactly, because the picture wasn't that good on my end.
Right.
So I kind of said I didn't want to say anything because I thought, oh, wait a minute, I'm a little bit. This is not right here for me, so I don't want to say something that's going to be.
I think I chimed in on that, but I think a lot of times I don't have to because Jimmy's answering questions there, and there are other people. who are
Everybody, yeah,
answering
everybody
questions.
helps
It's great. It's great. So Maureen, she says, silly question. I don't think there are any silly questions, are there, Jimmy?
No, because you're always learning about
That's
them,
right.
no matter what.
Don't be afraid to ask silly questions. But I'm ready to make the piping for my chair backs. I don't want anything very small. Is 1/4 inch piping a normal size, or is there a size bigger? I think, Jimmy, how good are you at math?
Quarter? God, it's been
What's
a while.
5/16? Is 5/16 bigger than a quarter or smaller than a quarter? 5/16. That would be a 1/16 inch or more than a quarter. Randy, help
Yeah.
us out here. Is it?
5/16.
5/16 is a
little bit.
Is a 1/16 of an inch more than a quarter, right?
Yes.
Believe it or not, aesthetically, we use 5/16 piping, both in double piping and single piping. And you would be surprised. I don't know how discriminating your eye is, but most of us,
Okay.
we're not art curators. We're not art majors like some people in this class are. Right, Michaela? She's an art major. She would be able to tell because she's got a great attention to detail. Michaela, can you tell the difference between a 1/16 of an inch from in piping? Like piping. So she's asking, Maureen's asking, she's got 1/4 of an inch and she's got 5/16. I use 5/16 and I can tell the difference. 1/4 inch is usually smaller than 5/16, but piping is usually used on delicate throw pillows. Not on this in this application. You wouldn't want to
No,
use a 1/4
right.
inch.
No, you wouldn't.
5/16 perfect. But it's amazing that little amount is important.
Right, especially if you look at the thickness of it.
Yeah,
too. You say-
and then when you
say,
add
"Oh,
your
wait a minute."
fabric too. Remember, you're adding fabric onto
Yes.
this, and fabric
But that's a good reference to use because of
Yeah.
the throw pillows that you say that's a 1/4 inch. This is something else.
We answered her question exactly. She's asking, is there anything bigger? And yes, there is. It's 5/16.
Okay.
When they say the piping is 1/4, she goes on to say, are they indicating that is the width of the piping? Yes, they are. Or measure completely around it? No, that's the width. Sorry for the silly. It's not a silly question. Actually, it's a very detailed question.
Well, it's good to know, but for reference, people say, "Oh, I want to use a smaller bead," but no, that you can't.
So
you
here's
shouldn't.
something too, Jimmy. I didn't mean to cut you off. She says, I couldn't find any answer anywhere on the web. And I think this is wonderful. Now, when I teach a class 30 years ago and I said something, everybody believed it, and it was written in stone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, everyone started carrying these. I want to tell a little story, and I had to be very careful with my storytelling. And remember, storytelling in an Irish tradition, we had a friend over in Ireland who used to watch us, a few people. There's some embellishment, Jimmy. You know, it's okay.
You don't say.
It's okay to do embellishment,
Why
right?
don't you tell them that famous story about the fly?
Well, this is what I'm saying. So I was telling a story in the class about, I hope that if you're an animal lover, usually houseflies, people don't get emotionally attached to houseflies, right? It was a housefly in the shop. I want to tell my story first, Pat.
That's about the question.
And I took my staple gun, right? And I shot, and I got him midair, Jimmy, with the staple. And he fell to the ground. So the story I was telling was, and I shot the fly right in the heart, and he fell down into the ground. And I said, wow. And I said, nobody's going to believe this. So I picked the fly up with the staple in him. And I took him down to the shop where I used to go in there, the variety store, and I said, look what happened. Nobody will believe this. I shot a fly out of the sky, shot him right in the heart, and here he is. So they get on there. One girl, she didn't even have to get on her phone. She knew.
No, she told you.
What's
right
the problem with that story, Jimmy?
Well, the problem is that the fly has no heart, that it has a circulatory system.
Closed.
Closed circulatory system.
No heart.
So of course Kevin immediately canceled his National Geographic membership, and he never.
Well, I
you,
did
you
wonder
were shut
why.
down for a while.
I did wonder why the fly was still alive with the staple, Jimmy. I did wonder about that.
Oh, it was still alive. It
Yeah.
was still kicking.
I did remove the staple, and I did let him
Did
go
you
because I
perform-
did feel bad for him.
Huh.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry if that was a story
Oh,
that
God.
some people might be
We're gonna
distressed.
have to- what is that animal rights group? That's very big.
Oh no! Shut up. I mean, but I didn't
Yeah,
really.
Are you done?
Yeah. Okay. Thank God Patrick is here.
Yeah, I know. but
Jimmy
just-
tends to
Yeah,
go
Randy
on.
put it nicely. Never interrupt an Irish man telling a story.
Yeah, because you know it becomes a mini series.
So I'm gonna, before I miss it here, I want to make sure I tell Randy. He said 532 is smaller than 1/4. Add fabric and you finish at 1/4. Hector uses 5.
And you know what? You know what?
32.
I meant to say 5/32.
And he says Kevin
Yeah,
532.
that's right.
516.
That's right.
Okay.
Now 5/32 is bigger than 1/4, right?
And here's. Did I give you this? This is a follow up of the piping
Okay.
from Nico.
Yeah, I should have read Tony's comment. I didn't mean to say I meant to say 5/32. Randy, thank you for correcting me. That's good. Nico, there's a follow up for that chair. Suggestions on how best. Oh, she's asked at the piping. Okay, sorry, I'm catching up. Nico says, suggestions on how to best to get this piping to lay correctly. I think I just answered this. I haven't closed the back yet. I just answered this. This is how you do it. Now, she's got an outside back, though. So, let me explain. Before you put this on, before you put the base welt on, you have the piping, the extra piece of pipe, doesn't matter what fabric it is, underneath there. Not too thick, I would say. But it's about 1/4 inch up off the horizontal line here. She comes down with this piping, she cuts the piping out, just has the fabric, she folds the fabric over the piping that she put in there, and she's got this already. Do you see what I'm saying? She's gonna take this flap and flap that. She's already has taken her outside arm and made a cut this way, and folded that under it, come over this way, staple this, staple here, and then come down with this piping, cut the cord out, just have the fabric flapped and stapled, and then she's ready to upholster the chair. And she's gonna make the same cuts here, do a pleat underneath here, staple underneath this piping that the other piping that's underneath there. It's always better to show it. I hope that I did a good job describing it. But Nico's got the right idea, except that she's kind of going out of order with this. This is where she's reaching a difficulty, right, Patrick? That's why she's having a hard time. She went out of order. The order should be no base welt yet. Base welt's the last thing you do. The last thing you do. But she's got her outside back. The next thing would be she's got a piping on here. She's got her outside arm. Like I said, she flaps it. She brings it over, staples underneath, and then she takes her piping and she flaps that, staples that, and then she upholsters this chair. She has all this done, and she cuts this. I hope I explained it, but the way she's doing it, that's why she's having difficulty. Now, Patrick, what class, Jimmy, you should be able to answer this. What class on the online classes do we show this in great detail? I mean, I just said something in 5 minutes or less that took you in a class a little bit more time. Do you remember that?
That was the recent one.
No, it was one of the older ones. It's the Ottoman class. Do you remember? The
My Ottoman class? No.
An Ottoman class that we did. It was a manufacturer's Ottoman that we had to redesign.
Oh, that's right. Mine was the...
We show this in great detail.
Okay.
You should check it out.
Hector says, do you repair your own staple gun?
You know, I'll tell you, if he's repairing, Hector, if you're repairing staple guns yourself, it means to me, forgive me if I say this, that you might not have a great staple gun. The best staple gun in the world is the BEA staple gun, which we have online. We have on
Randy was on top of that.
Yeah.
He posted that.
So the problem with Jimmy, tell me what the main problem.
Santa Claus is going to be good to me this year.
Is he? She? He or she?
Yeah, I think
Mrs. Claus.
You can tell Rose.
I'll put the word in.
I thought it was supposed to be the clinch it. Whatever happened to that?
That's still up there too.
Excuse me, you're going to
Well,
be
see,
well-armed.
when your father said, because of the project that I'm doing on Thursday night, he said I threw the springs out. I said, "Oh, this is my chance to use the clinch it." But of course, he diminished that hope, and he said, "We're going to go foam." I said, "Ah, damn!" I just that could be I would do that job almost for it. That was a fun job to do. A fun thing to learn how to use a new piece of equipment.
So Hector's got this question. So
Yes.
Jimmy, you tell me. I don't know. This is kind of a hard question or an answer. But what's the main difference between a gun that you get at Home Depot, which most people do start with those not electric guns. They do have pneumatic guns at Home
Yes.
Depot for this type of work.
I haven't seen that. I've seen the bigger ones.
Really?
Yes, I'll look again.
I
But
think I've seen. Well, any online place, any gun that they're saying is a pneumatic gun for upholstery compared to the BEA gun.
Well, you know, you have some guns, some staple guns that are used every day like the way you do.
Right.
And I think that's what you need to pay for.
The
If
biggest.
If you're a hobbyist, once in a while, maybe not so much, but I believe that if you want durability, that's the type of thing to
The
look
main
for.
difference is and I don't know exactly the mechanics, but whoever designed this was a genius.
Mhm.
There's more engineering that goes into this than a regular staple gun. That every other brand doesn't perform like this one, and the main reason is that this gun works on a low cycle. So in every compressor that you buy, whether you're buying a 10,000 pound pressure, I don't advise that. I don't know what that would be even used for, or 50 pounds or 80 pounds is the normal.
Mm-hmm.
It always cycles. It has a low cycle, meaning that right before it kicks on,
Mm-hmm.
it's performing. The air is less coming through the hose.
Right.
But the difference between this gun and every other gun is that this gun performs in the low cycle. I don't know how. It's just a marvel of engineering. So what that means is that you have less jamming that goes on. So when a gun jams, when Hector says do you repair your own guns? I know he's probably not using a BEA because the BEA. This gun here. It's
How old is that gun?
I'd say that's about 8 or 10 years old. It's
Oh my
not
God.
jammed once.
Wow.
It's not jammed on me once.
And that's how much online?
These are Patrick. We just had to go up a little bit on these. I think it's like 500, but it's worth every penny.
Mm-hmm.
So, what happens when a gun jams is you got a staple that's like stuck halfway out or whatever. So the first thing you do, you take this down, and you look to see what's going on. Well, you unplug it. Make sure you unplug it.
Right, God
Because you
forbid.
don't be looking here and having it go off. Always unplug from the compressor. And then your hammer is out and your staple's caught. And the only way to get that staple out is to I usually take a regulator and try to open it and grab that stem out. But as soon as you touch your hammer, now the hammer, it acts like the magnetic hammer, really. It's the same amount of force or more. The hammer is that little slide that comes out and it's pushing the staples out through the nose. And when that hammer gets compromised with the burr, it's off-centered a little bit, which always happens, then other problems happen, and then you end up taking your gun apart.
Oh.
So because you're
That's
misfiring. Usually most people take their gun apart when the gun begins to misfire because the hammer's not on there right. So that explains that. I hope, Hector, it's always good to invest in a good equipment.
Well,
I
yes.
think, right?
I think, again, like you say, with everyday occurrences, you need something.
Jimmy,
stable.
let's go on to do we have any other questions or comments, Patrick? And Randy, thank you for picking up on that on the 5/16th, on the 5/32 well cord, I mean. That is what we use both in the single piping and the double piping, 5/32. Pam's been on here on Facebook, I think, for a long time. I think she was one of our original Facebook people. I think it should say that on there somewhere. There's an indication of that, right, Jimmy? I'm not too familiar
I don't
with
keep the
this.
dates. I wish I did. That's what I was
I think
thinking of
they
the other
show-
day. when
don't they
It has a little leaf logo. That
Yeah, I
says
see what's-
founding member.
That's the leaf that means founding member, Jimmy. I knew there was something on there.
And Jimmy's also founding member.
Jimmy, you get the leaf. See, you say you never got
The
anything
gold
from
leaf.
us.
Yeah. Well, that's not the same thing as like lunch once a week with the board of directors.
Well, we'll get you a lunch of leaves then. A leaf lunch. How's
And a
that?
salad.
Tell you what.
Sorry.
He definitely has his
So
sense.
you
yeah,
smell the
sense of humor.
toast? You smell
Something's
burning
going
toast?
on.
Yeah.
Jimmy, you smell burning toast?
I smell. I don't know. I know the cannabis stores down the street. You guys are walking, kind of like staying around there a little bit.
Oh, no. That's enough of that. No. Pam says, looking for advice on how to reconstruct this seat. Let's put it up here to show people. This seat. And I've never seen cushions chained to a wire frame before. Uh-oh. She's got a challenge there, you guys. Just ask anybody that does automobile upholstery. They'll tell you that's all they do, really. When you have a wire frame, you have to, let's keep reading. It was stuffed with random pieces of fabric. I'm thinking it was to keep the metal chains quiet. That's exactly what it is. It's like a muffler. So they put a muffler in there in the form of extra fabric. I was thinking of removing the springs from all the metal chains. Don't do that. And wire frame, and then don't do that. And the metal bottom cross pieces, don't do that either. That run front to back. This is your original drop-in seat. It's called a drop-in seat. You want to keep it like it is, and you tell your customer if you're doing it for customer payment. It's nothing better. People are really into keeping the original pieces, so don't do anything to change it. And you could do exactly what they did. I would add cotton. Cotton is the best muffler for these springs. You just put cotton in between the rungs of the spring to eliminate the wire on wire or metal on metal noise. But I kind of like the design of this seat as a drop-in unit. And the reason that's important is a drop-in unit is just as it sounds. It's dropping below the frame of the chair, so that you're not you don't have to staple heavy webbing pretty much. It's actually an ingenious way that these chairs have been done. These stickly chairs oftentimes had these drop-in units, and that's what it looks like. Almost, I don't think it's a stickly, but it's stickly. I think they were the original designers of these chairs. It's important to keep it. Just work with it, okay? And let me see what else she says. Then maybe I could web the wooden frame. She wants to. Yeah, don't do any of this. What you're thinking of doing. I would work with what she has. She's going to strip that down carefully, and she'd get to the top of the springs and tie them 8-way tie. She use your staple gun because oftentimes the frames are not able to take the hammering with the big tacks especially. So you might want to tie, and we show this technique, Patrick, in one of our videos. What is it? We show a technique of using your staple gun to tie springs. I think it was in the footstool that we saw. I don't think, if they get the electronic Ottoman class, the fundamentals of upholstery, we show how to use the staple and the hammering at the same time, or we go back and forth. But you could figure that out as long as you have a good staple gun. But try to reconstruct what they did, and the only thing I would do to change it, she's got it stripped. You guys can see that on the bottom there. She's got it stripped down, and I hope I caught her in time to keep all of that. Reconstruct it as much as possible. The only thing I would do different is use that balls of cotton. Another use for scrap cotton, right? We don't have many uses for that. But ball it up and put it in between the rungs of the spring, and you take care of your muffler problem there, Jimmy. Do you have any muffler problems, Jimmy?
No, not today. No, I'm good. Yeah, actually.
I think, Jimmy, we've lost his attention span. This isn't riveting
drama. It's been a long 2 or 3 weeks.
Yes,
I've been
I know.
working overtime. So.
Yeah, Jimmy's been working overtime on what, furniture?
No, unfortunately, at the other job. So.
Oh, okay, the other job, right. We won't want to discuss that.
No.
We got one more Facebook from Brad King.
I think we should. Patrick, can you put in a sound of thunder round of applause or anything like that?
Any questions before I get to Brad's? Is there anything else up there, Patrick?
I think we're good. I think we're caught up. Randy's doing a good job of.
Randy's been great. When you weren't here, I asked Randy to help me answering questions while I was alone, and he did a great job.
He's still doing good. He has a little wrench next to his name, which means he's a moderator of the
Oh,
chat.
good. How does that happen? Do you send away for that wrench? Jimmy's believing every word I say. He's hanging on everything I say.
Oh, yeah. So I'm hinging on every word. I should be sitting in your lap to say, okay, what's the next word? What's the next truth you're going to say?
I knew I shouldn't have teased him.
Yeah.
Brad says, I have a question, and may seem dumb, but I'm starting this project that I picked up at an auction. I need to know, is there a better tool to use to pull the gimp nails out? I believe this as I sit is the original material. There are no staples anywhere on this chair. The gimp and double nails all the way around. Gimp tacks can be tough. Gimp nails can be really tough to take out, but I think the best tool is your tack remover. And the attack remover in the very bottom here with your mallet is the best way to do it, I think. Sometimes it doesn't seem to get underneath the gimp tacks. Some of the gimp tacks, you have different size gimp tacks. 3 ounce, I think there's a 6 ounce, and I think there might be one bigger than that. But if you're dealing with small gimp tacks, sometimes they just leave them in. And now, when I start to damage wood around anything that I'm removing, then I stop. That's an indication that you might just want to, set them in or leave them in. If you're digging and you're digging out wood, don't do it. That's how I do it. Okay. Is there any other questions, Patrick? Or?
I think we're good. I was just gonna say, do you want to start with the estimates of Michaela? Because it's already 5, so you might want to do that now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Jimmy, thank you for coming. Don't let the door hit you on the way. No, I'm just kidding.
Randy, I was laughing because Randy had a question. Is the orange line back on, he says.
Yes. There are some slow areas, but that's because the rails have to settle. But there are a few up and down the line, but everything is working.
So if you
I was
visit
act-
Randy, you
I
can use
was
the orange
actually-
line.
I was actually there. I was actually working 12 hours on Saturday, so it was kind
Jimmy
of.
did a good job. I think
Does
it
Randy
looks-
have an invite to use the orange line when he comes?
Hey, I'll take him. We can go. Take him down to Chinatown or someplace.
They were showing some
out-
pictures, Jimmy,
Yeah.
and it looks like a European transit system, beautifully clean. It's beautiful. The people
Yeah,
are all
well,
orderly.
I think they tried to do a lot of work when the whole thing was down with
They did.
lights and stuff. And,
Yeah, good for
you
you.
know,
Well,
I
congratulations.
just hope they keep it going. That's all.
I do too.
Yeah.
Well, with somebody like you on board, how can they miss?
Oh God, dude! Now you. Oh God, we could go into that for days. But we only have so many minutes. Let's do Michaela and let's.
All right. Well, Michaela, do you want to read some of these estimates? Do people like this segment? I think they do, Patrick.
It keeps everything current.
Okay, so it keeps things current. It keeps the pricing is a tricky thing, as you guys know. Jimmy knows because he's trying to do a business on his own, and pricing is a big thing. So do you want to start with the first thing, Michaela?
Yes.
The-
It's the.
Allison,
Which one did you click on?
Allison, Jill. Jill. No, you tell me. I shouldn't tell you. You tell me.
Okay, so there is one email in there that we need to look at. It is Jill.
Is she the first one? No, she's the second one. Okay, I got it. Jill.
Yeah, well, she said you have to go to the very bottom email. It's the email with the big couch picture.
This one.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll show people this one. This should be interesting, right? So you want to read it?
Yeah. She tried uploading the picture to the original request for the estimate, but she couldn't get it to go through, so she was finally able to attach it and has sent it separately.
And she's looking to reupholster that?
Yeah, she says, I have a very comfortable, lightweight couch. The only problem is the fabric is fading after 18 years.
All right, well, it's a $2,100 labor plus 18 yards of fabric. So, what's happening in I've noticed a trend of less estimates coming in, and I think it has something to do with this should be a busier, time of year. So sometimes I'll adjust pricing down a little bit just to make it look more attractive when people are looking at it, just to try to, you're always playing this game where you're looking at your backlog and it's starting to diminish a little bit. That could be good sometimes, but you want to try to maintain a backlog in a regular shop size, average shop. I think of about 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks. That's healthy. If you get down below that, maybe you should run a sale or a class or something to get people in. But Randy is very familiar with this. He knows what I'm talking about. So what's the next one?
All right, the next one is going to be a set of 3. It's this one that starts it is Amy.
Amy?
Yeah,
Is this okay?
from September 17th.
Sorry, I don't. I got Jill, and that's a separate one. Sorry, you could just read
It's
it.
not in that same
Oh, it
chain.
isn't?
You have to go out and scroll down to September 17th.
Oh, okay. You got it highlighted. How can I miss that? Okay. All right.
All right. The first one is Amy, and she says reupholster in dark red burgundy leather. So we don't do leather right now.
notice the leather. This is not leather. This is pleather or fake faux leather. I can tell by the way it's wearing. So we're not doing this anymore because we don't want that to happen after even 5 years out after we do it, because that's going to be a reflection on us. I can't control the world faux leather problems, and I'm done with it. This only has to happen a couple of times before I'm done. And I used to think that companies with a reputable name selling faux leather would solve the problem, but that didn't work either. Leather, there is a good leather company, a couple of good leather companies left in the world, but that's so expensive. I don't even bother. I mean, on a leather piece like this, with a really good leather that I can work with, you're probably talking about $5,000 in the leather. There goes your price. Just blew you right out of the water. So we want to do it in fabric. You could tell them, that yes, we could do this in fabric for you. The fabric together with the ottoman and the chair would be 9 yards. And the labor, that's total for both the ottoman and the chair. And the labor is going to be $1,600 for both. Okay? And that's it. A nice chair, isn't it, Jimmy?
That's classy. I like that style.
So we're going to feature this next, this antique chair, this Victorian chair. Guys, that's nice. That almost looks like that 1860 chair that we did, Patrick. Almost looks like it. This has diamond tufting and channels, which is cool, So I tell people, for you, people might not. Some people might not know.
Do you want me
this.
to read it?
Yes.
Okay. This chair needs to be reupholstered and the springs under the seat either fixed or replaced. I have the fabric that I'd like to use, so it matches another chair in the same room. The fabric is similar to the one currently on the chair, but a slightly different shade of green. I would like to keep the tufting on the back of the chair if possible, but not if it adds a lot of cost to the project.
Yeah.
I also want to keep the cost of this to a minimum, as the chair is just an old attic in an old attic bedroom. A price for the work would greatly be appreciated.
Yeah, cost is cost. I like when people try to plead in an email. I guess I don't blame people sometimes trying to get a better price. I can't do this for, we need to upcharge because she's got her own fabric. So in this case here, we have to price it out like we normally would, which would be to repair the springs and the diamond tufting. I mean, you're talking, it's expensive as it sounds. Diamond tufting with channels and a retied 8-way tied seat. There's labor. That's labor, man. So we're going to be $1,300 in labor for this piece, and we're going to be adding 20% onto that. She's never going to do it.
I thought it was 25.
25%.
We've been
on
adding
that.
25.
I don't think she'll ever do it.
How many yards of fabric?
And make sure she has her own fabric.
Yeah.
And that she has at least 3 yards. So this is another thing, If she has old fabric, it could be dried out for all I know. Old fabric does dry out. So there's a lot of problems with taking customers' own material. Mr. Jimmy, who's going to be having his own business, should be listening and absorbing everything like a sponge.
I think if someone is bringing fabric to me, I want to make sure that, number one, it's what they want, and of course, you're looking at what the purpose of the item is, and you kind of say, this is not conducive for. You're trying to be as helpful as you can, and you should be.
This next one is, you have to be very polite in the response. This is from Deborah. And everything about this email screams to me, we're going to lose money.
Too much work?
No, I'll let Michaela read it. And I'll show a picture first. I'll show a couple of pictures. There's one piece that she has, and then there's another piece that she has, and I think that's it. But I'm going to let Michaela read it, and depending on where you are in your career, if you've just opened up a shop and you're trying to develop a good client base, I mean. You're going to take repair jobs. You could take repair jobs because you might not be as busy as I am. I mean, I'm 42 years into a career. So do I need to be picking up sleep sofas from the third
Only
story?
to help somebody out.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, if I'm going to pick up a sleep sofa from a third story floor, I'm going to make sure that it's going to be upholstered, first of all, and not just repaired. And I'll let Michaela read this one.
Do you have pictures on that?
Yeah.
She says, "Hi, we are interested in multiple upholstery repairs. Probably not all at the same time. In order of preference, a mid-size sleeper sofa, currently a brown gold fabric with some wear at corners, etc. Would like to recover in a navy tight weave durable fabric. Need guidance on fabric types. Possibly cushions need replenishing or replacing."
So you introduce them to the catalogs you have.
She's asking
Well,
for a
hold
repair,
on.
though.
But she says, would like to recover.
Oh,
Oh,
that's odd.
So
what does she mean by recover?
It sounds to me like she's asking for a repair, but let's just you could just say to her, we only reupholster, we don't do repairs. Here's the reupholstery charge, or word it any way you want. But
Okay.
it's for a sofa bed like this with really, it's going to be $2,400 labor plus 15 yards of fabric.
Well,
you said 2,400.
Yeah, and 15 yards.
All right, and then she
Yep.
says the second one
It's a
is
Lazy
a
Boy.
lazy boy chair and love seat, all recliners. Currently covered in a light beige. Need reupholstering in a dark color, e.g., chocolate brown. No picture of the love seat, but is the same age style as the chair.
We can start with we can be courteous and give an estimate, but you also going to tell her that we're going to give her the estimate. Let's just do the estimate first.
I'll say it's probably not going to be 100% certain on the price because you have not included a picture.
Well,
Is
no, I
that-
wasn't even going that way. I know what she has. It's a lazy boy love seat. It looks just like this, only doubled. That's all.
Okay.
So we can start with the love seat's going to be $2,200 plus 15 yards. The chair's going to be $1,400 plus 8 yards. But you're going to be honest with her and tell her that lazy boy, to replace lazy boys, usually a lot less than reupholstering lazy boys.
What was the chair?
1,408 yards, let's say. I'll let you finish there, and then I want to just tell her, I really don't want this job, but I don't want to tell her that. I really, between you and I don't want the job, and everybody else that's looking.
I'm kind of surprised, but that's okay. If you're
The problem with this is a newer lazy boy,
okay.
and it's a kind of a warning for people out there.
Should I mention that the cost of replacing is far less than?
I would say that just as a courtesy.
Okay.
Just tell her she can do better at the same exact thing.
Well-
They make them the same exact way, except for the really old ones. But that's a newer one, and she can get it for probably at least half the cost of what it would be to upholster it.
Right. I would think, yeah. I mean,
And I don't really want
even to get a sale price, and the fabric would
Yeah.
probably be a nominal charge.
She could do much better, and they have those chocolate colored micro suede lazy boys, a dime a dozen. But the thing, and I hate to do that. I hate to admit this because she's gonna have to throw these away probably. But
Well, I mean, it's a project for somebody if they want to do it, but yes, for her house, I definitely think.
the problem with reupholstering lazy boys is that you run into all kinds of problems sometimes with the mechanisms. So you're taking things apart. There's little springs in there in some parts, and
Can you work around that?
well, you can, but it's hard. So your labor costs are a little bit higher, and then in the end, the manufactured pieces are a lot cheaper. But anyhow, is that the last one, Michaela?
There's one more underneath that set of 3. It's,
Okay.
Laura.
Laura. Don't see that. Oh, okay,
September
yeah.
17th.
Okay.
She says, "Hi, Kevin. I stopped by last week with questions about reupholstering a chair. I am attaching photos. It will clearly need new foam as well as upholstery. I would like to replace the leather with fabric. Can you let me know if you can do this project? Should I have an appointment to bring in to select fabric, etc.?"
$275 labor, because I need to do restoration, you guys, on that, and 1 yard of fabric. And sure, come on in. Hey, Jimmy.
Wow, yeah. I like my coffee. Milk?
Huh? All right, we have some dead air. It's all Jimmy's fault. I'm just kidding. So I think we're done, Pat, unless there's other comments or questions.
I think we're
Is there
good.
anything else on there? Okay, Jimmy, would you? I'm gonna let Jimmy close us out
Oh,
because
God, really?
I'm gonna give you
Give
the
him the mic,
microphone,
yeah.
Jimmy, and I'm gonna walk away. We'll see you guys next time. Jimmy's gonna close us out. Hopefully everything.
Yes,
will be
well,
okay.
Kevin's gonna kind of trying to dig up some old Irish stories, some more Irish stories that he can kind of spellbind us with. So hopefully we'll see everyone next week. We'll have some good questions for everybody, and hopefully some good answers too as well. So everyone have a good week. Take care.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Oh, no problem.
Thanks for making fun of me.
I'm sorry I wandered off for